it's devastation totally.
Okay, so you run this farm here, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so how many you've lost quite a bit as far as animals? Did everybody get?
Well, as far as we know, so far everybody's out okay. It's just that we have on the Celestial Acres part, we have probably there's maybe 75 to 100 dead horses and
Okay.
and some horses wandering around in a stupor, and then Orr Family Farm, which we have thousands of people come out every year,
Okay.
will be rebuilt, but right now.
I want to tell you about this tornado warning that continues here north of the Tulsa area. This is about 20 miles north of Tulsa. Tornado warning for Rogers and Washington counties. And we are still seeing a debris ball on this particular storm. So it's a very well-defined tornado that is now coming right across Route 75. You can see the velocity couplet there showing quite a bit of rotation, very strong rotation now right around the Route 75 region there. And then also coming over into Vera in short order, and we've also been picking up debris on this particular storm. So now it's time to take cover in the Vera area as well as along Route 4000 there and 3500, and it looks like it's going to be passing just to the south of Ramona and Brandon. If we can widen the shot just a little bit. Also want to watch out there in Talala, maybe passing to the north of Ugala. It's passing, moving to the east, but a little north of east. So it looks like it's going to be in Talala at about 4:30 Central Time, then Jamestown at 4:37, and Wingannon at about 4:42. Another very dangerous storm, most likely a large and violent tornado. Now again right on Route 75 and making its way over towards Route 169. This is again about 20 miles to the north of Tulsa, and we're going to have more on this as it becomes available coming up here in just a few minutes. Let's get back to KFOR's coverage of this devastating, absolutely horrible day south of Oklahoma City.
Kids inside there.
All right, this is some of the video we're getting in now of the damage from Moore, Oklahoma, from KFOR. Look at this, complete devastation, completely destroyed. This is live from what I'm hearing. So this completely destroyed. This, whatever this is, I know 2 schools completely destroyed. One, the Plaza Tower School, was an elementary school, and Kelly, possibly some of the students still in there.
We're not sure the status of the kids that were at these schools. We understand that they were hunkering down as the storm was approaching, though. We want to warn everybody, too, that not too far from Moore, there is a severe thunderstorm just on the north side of Moore. Lots of lightning and very heavy rain up towards Oklahoma City, where the kids are now being dismissed and allowed to go home. But again, we're still concerned about more dangerous weather in the vicinity of all this debris that is strewn about.
All right, we're going to listen back into KFOR right now.
The bus routes. So some schools, some schools get out like at 2:15, and then some schools like Morgan, she has to go, and she stays until like I think 3:40, and they're adjusting it every year. So because of the inflow of the students. So I'm not for sure. We're really getting blown around here. I'm not for sure about times of release for these schools here. So they could have been out for the day.
John, thank you very much. We're going to go to Mike real quickly, but let me invite any parents who may have children in those schools. If your children are safe and you know for a fact that they weren't being sheltered in those schools, please call our newsroom and let us know that so we can pass that information along. We've been unable to confirm whether the children were being sheltered in the schools or whether they had already been released. So help us to know that information. Mike?
Unbelievable destruction in Moore, Oklahoma. Damage maybe a mile, mile and a half wide in some cases, and even worse than the 99 tornado that came through on May 3rd back in 99. Again, Kelly, a lot of structures, a lot of businesses completely destroyed. We're getting word even farms that were hit, animals were killed, horses
right.
were found dead.
And unfortunately, you know, we're not sure the status of the schools as far as the kids, if they were in the schools taking shelter, if maybe they were dismissed by this point. That we are still trying to figure out as we look at this complete devastation by what appears to have been either an EF4, possibly an EF5 tornado that came through here.
Just complete devastation in this area of Moore, Oklahoma. A war zone. I mean, that's the only way you can compare this. And our hearts and prayers just going out to these people, and they're really urging everybody, don't go near this area. You have got to stay away because they've got to get emergency vehicles in here.
Yeah, we're worried about gas leaks. We saw a large fire burning from these aerial shots as well. So obviously fires are a problem that could erupt. And with all that debris everywhere, it's really difficult for the fire trucks to even make their way through the streets. I mean, the roads are just covered. Even the major interstate, Kim, we were watching live at cars just crumpled on even on an interstate.
And thank goodness they had stopped folks from going, because it could have been a lot worse. It could have been rush hour traffic. There could have been so many other scenarios that would have made it even worse. Again, more Oklahoma hit by possibly EF4, EF5 tornado about 4 o'clock. Their time, maybe on the ground for maybe an hour or so. A large wedge tornado, huge debris signatures. You can see why from this devastation, saying that trees were uprooted, pulled out of the ground. Just horrifying.
And as we look at the aftermath of this large tornado in Moore, we want to warn everybody that we're not even done yet. We still have a tornado watch in effect for this area. We are still dealing with active tornado warnings actually just to the north of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Carl was actually tracking that for us on the radar, and I don't know if Carl is available to talk about it right now, but he was even seeing a debris ball with that particular thunderstorm. Carl, are you there?
Yes, I am. And yeah, we are still looking at a tornado warning here on this cell that is the same cell actually that produced the tornado there in Moore. Now, the rotational signature is not nearly as well defined as it once was. You can see that there is some evidence of rotation right in here, but we're not seeing a pronounced rotational signature, and that certainly is some good news. What we are seeing is the presence of large hail with this particular cell. We can take a look at the hail tracker. You can see that core of the hail coming up there towards 177. It's going to be passing through Meeker or just to the north of Meeker, indicating golf ball size hail with that particular cell. Also, a lot of lightning with this storm, as you would expect. These supercell storms are very well organized storms, and they continue to roll across areas from just north of Tulsa all the way down to south of Oklahoma City. So there again is the cell that is east of Oklahoma City. That's the same cell that produced this tornado not that long ago. I'm not exactly sure. The exact time of it actually was locally 2:56 to 3:36 local time. So it was on the ground for about 40 minutes. So we're coming up on about an hour since that has happened. So this storm right now, the rotation headed towards Fowler, Jacktown, and Sparks, and Wilzetta, and we have seen these things go through cycles where they get stronger at different periods. So we definitely want to keep a very close eye on this cell. Also some cells off to the south there, south of Oklahoma City. Still some tornado warnings on those. We've got one, and our tornado hunt team actually very close to this cell. Tornado warning for Garvin. That includes Brady, Elmore City, and Foster. And the area that we're going to watch is right in here. That's the southwest side of the cell. And you can see the rotation right through there near Elmore City. And that's going to be heading up towards Route 29 or a little north of that. So let's get back now to KFOR's coverage in Oklahoma City and see what they're saying about this devastating tornado there.
I do have some definition off to my north and east. I can almost see all the way underneath it, I think, Mike. So I'm not for sure that we've got a funnel all the way in contact with the ground, but winds are picking up just a little bit here as we're getting closer to the circulation, and I do have a lot of rapid rain with it. So the bottom line is, folks, it's created large damage. It's been a long track system so far.
Okay, let's go to the North Doppler control room. I do believe this is on the ground. It's up on those rotating rain curtains. There's Jacktown right there. Here's Highway 62. This is Meeker.
Okay, so we were just watching the coverage there from some of the storm chasers who were following this storm near Meeker, and as we look at it on Doppler radar, we are seeing some evidence of rotation there. You can see right in here some rotation with the cell. There's some cooler air wrapping in right there. There's the inflow notch. So this is the area where we'd be watching for the tornado. If there is one, certainly it's going to be very close to the Meeker area, but not nearly the velocity signature that we saw earlier today. And this is again the same cell that came across Moore, Oklahoma. But Brian Norcross is joining me now, and Brian, we've been looking at some of the scenes of devastation there from Moore, and absolutely horrendous. I mean, oftentimes when you see tornado damage, you'll see some areas where houses have been swept off their foundations, you know, maybe a small section of a neighborhood. And from what we saw, it appeared that perhaps there were entire streets that were in that condition.
Yeah, this is going to be a bigger damage path than 1999, and 1999 was spectacular and something that we just so rarely see. I mean, we saw it in Joplin, we saw it in Tuscaloosa, right?
Yeah.
But this looks like a bigger, wider tornado than we even saw in those cases.